What's up, guys, and welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today I'm a glutton for punishment. This is a 1994 Dodge Ram 2500 with the V10 in it. I've had this truck since 1997. I had it all through my early to mid 20s, or maybe even late teens, something like that. And I had every stereo system known to man in the truck at some point. I mean, we're talking motorized screens and JLs behind the seat, the whole 9 yards at one point. So I went through that phase, right? But the one thing that I didn't take into account was this truck had a pretty good sound system from the factory. See, it had the Infinity sound system. That bug is just gonna like make noise over my recording, isn't he? Anyway, it came with the Infinity sound system from the factory, which honestly, it was pretty good by those standards and probably not too bad by today's standards either. So one of the things that I've kind of started doing with this truck is going back and starting to kind of make things closer to the way they would have been. I mean, obviously not the brush guard and the wheels and the tires and all that, but for the most part, it's a really nice, clean example of a 94 Dodge Ram. It's unique enough that I kind of want to keep it somewhat stock. Part of that includes returning the sound system to stock. I have scoured the ends of the earth to try and find the original components that would have came out of this truck for the Infinity system. And it has been a chore, to say the least. I've been gathering pieces and parts for the better part of 6 months or so on this, and I still don't have all of them, but I'm not too far away. The hard part for me was finding an Infinity deck that was good and didn't cost $600. I've taken several radios and cobbled together pieces and parts to make good radios, and just as I had a fairly good working example, this one showed up. There's that bug again. This one is a great working low mile example, and I think it's going to be perfect for what we're doing. The other thing I had to do was find the original speakers, and that was tough. You see, the Infinity speakers from this era, they had amplifiers fitted to the back of them, and so they used 12 volts to run this amp, and then they had the speaker inputs. So they sounded pretty good, but finding some of these things was a chore. All of the speakers that I found had the tinsel leads here. That's these little leads that go from here through the cone into the voice coil, were all broken. So I had to take these speakers, I did some amplifier repair, had this whole thing broke open, resoldered tinsel leads and all that stuff in order to make these work. Now, you're not gonna see that on this video, but what I do have is a second channel called Project Time Tech, where I do more, I guess, techie geeky stuff like this. So the process of getting all this stuff benched and tested and repairing these speakers and all that stuff is all on that channel. And I'm gonna link that up here if you guys wanna see it. Just to kind of tie the whole package together. The only thing that am missing so far is the correct rear speakers. Those go to the front door, these go in the rear B-pillars. And while these are Infinity speakers, these aren't the correct speakers for the application. You see, those don't have amplifiers on them. They just have dual voice coils with a crossover for the tweeter, and they rely on the radio amplification to make them work. This is out of a later version of Chrysler Infinity. Somewhere during time, Chrysler stopped putting the amplifiers on the speakers, and they started having a separate amplifier somewhere in the vehicle to run the amplified speakers. So I have looked all over Earth trying to find a set of 6.5 round Infinities with the amplifiers on them, and I cannot find them. So I know they exist because, well, I had them in this truck when I pulled them out, and I see pictures of them on the interwebs, but I can't find a set actually for sale. Also, I have the factory tweeters. I bought a set of those, Chrysler Infinity. These are NOS, they've never been installed. So that's gonna be kind of a neat thing. So the goal for today is to get all the other junk out of this truck, make that bug be quiet, and get the Infinity sound system back in the truck the way it was designed to be. And as an added bonus, we're going to make it so that an iPod or a phone or whatever will work through the aux cord of the radio. Now, if you want to see how I did that and how I made that all work with this radio, I'm going to link a whole separate video up here of adding aux to it, because that's kind of a lengthy video in and of itself. Me going through and trying to figure out what does what and what pin to tap and so on and so forth. So go check that video out if you want to see more about that. Anyway, I guess at this point I will hush and we'll pull the truck forward into the shade some here and we'll just go to work. So see you there. Well, I guess the first thing to do is get all this stuff out. You see what my solution has been to get my phone plugged into it, right? One of those. Just had the excess in there. All right. So to get these dashes out, it's not really a big deal. It's 2 screws here, 2 screws here. The rest of it just pops loose. Once you have that done, you can just start pulling. Just be ginger. We have a cigarette lighter plug to pop loose, and we have a power port plug to pop loose, and that is it. The rest of it can very gently go up on the dash. As far as the radio goes, we got 2 10mm to get it out. See what I did for my grounding deal there. I'll have to undo that. Now, as for the aux cable, I'm probably just gonna run it out here at the ashtray for a minute, because I don't really know exactly where I'm gonna run it final just yet. So this will get it started for me in the right direction. All right. That should be the actual radio itself. And I guess we test it, make sure it works, don't we? Okay, it actually works. So I'm not going to put the dash back together just yet. Gosh, that's loud. I'm not going to put the dash back together just yet because there's more to go. I don't know what the deal is in the doors. So I'm going to get the door speakers in and make sure I've got 12 volts to all that stuff, because all that is behind here. Don't have to pull it apart again. So let's get a door panel off. To get the door panels off of these, there are 2 screws inside the door pull, Phillips head screws. Screw up here. These right here just lift out. And rather than take these all apart, I'll feed this whole thing back through the door because these are a little bit touchy. So I'd rather not deal with it if I don't have to. We'll have to repair every one of these little push pins when we get to that point. There we go. Now this tweeter up here actually still does work, but I want to replace it anyway because, well, it's as old as the truck is. But these are the speakers that I put in here. Apparently years and years ago. They're Alpines. They sound pretty good. I also put these baffles in here. I think I may have done that not very long ago. All right, let's see what's left as far as wiring goes for this system. Well, gravity's bad today. There we go. This is this time we figure out if this is the same or if this is different. Looks the same. It's exactly the same, in fact. Right in there. All right, it's gonna work. I like to use that screw there to kind of get an anchor point started. How many tabs I broke off. Yeah, a couple of them. All right. Yeah, these things just break. Huh? That's a terrible design. I went ahead and stuck that tweeter back in there because I'll be honest with you, I can't find the other one that I brought down here. I've looked, I said I looked everywhere, but I guess I haven't looked wherever it is, but I can't find the stupid thing. Let's see, which way does this index? This way. Well, does it work? Next question. Let's figure that out. Okay, so yes, it does work. Okay, putting it back together. I went ahead and replaced about 3/4 of these little plastic Christmas tree push pin things. I'm sure I'll still knock about half of them off trying to put it back in the door. I don't think I'm lining up any of these things. All right, getting somewhere now. I don't know where. This is working out to be just an epic failure. Meanwhile, I'm knocking every one of these little push pins off. I'm going to put a temporary screw in here until I can get everything lined up and put together. There's that one. Somehow I managed to get all that back together. Amazing. This is where you find something that you left out in the door and you have to pull it back apart usually. Okay, that's it. So that's the fronts done. Turn our attention to the rears now. For these, there are 2 big push pins, and one down here at the bottom and one about right here, and I don't think there are even any screws except one under the sill plate that you have to pull up. I think that's about it, best I can remember. And you don't have to get this thing completely out of the truck. You just kind of have to get it out of your way to make this happen. Not a big deal. You can just do this and just slide it out on the seat belt. Get it out of your way. That's the location of the speaker back here. Let me pop that out real quick. Not a lot of room to work back here. And luckily, I kept the, at least I kept the factory plugs back here. So I'm glad I did that. As usual, we test it before we put it back together. All right, moving right along. All right, one more to go. Some of these have been pulled off a time or two, it looks like. I wonder who did that. All right, so On these back speakers, the factory plug, you know, it's like the front. It has 4 prongs on it because it also has the power, 12-volt power in the ground to run the amplifier on the speaker. But since I don't have that that particular speaker, I was never able to actually locate the rear ones. What we'll do is we'll just use spade terminals and just put these together. So we'll just make it look like that. And hopefully it's just a matter of plugging it up. And we can just pop these back in there. Now, is the polarity right? I don't know. We got to figure that out here in a second. And the way I'll figure that out is just by sticking a quick screw in it, turn the radio on, and see if the bass sounds muddy and shallow or deep and rich. I'm hoping for deep and rich. So. Sounds good. That's right. I love it when I get it right the first try. It's a 50-50 shot. But I usually end up having to do it twice anyway. That one's missing the fabric over it, but that's the best I've got at this point. Maybe one day I'll find the right speakers for it. So also let me run over real quick this conglomeration right here. This less than elegant solution is how I plan to use the aux input. Like we covered before, in order for the aux input to become active, this black wire needs to see ground. So what I've done is I've taken the yellow wire, I've just ran it up to the chassis ground of the radio. The black wire goes to the DIN plug, to the pole that's looking for the ground signal. And when you turn the switch on, it just basically grounds the two together. Like I said, less than elegant solution, but until I work out the whole headphone jack deal, this will work. My game plan is to, this is coming out of the ashtray opening. My game plan is to basically leave this in the ashtray. Like I said, I don't use the ashtray, so you know, maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Like I said, not elegant, but quite effective. Guess I probably should test that too, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's a good plan. So we'll take our portable media player and we'll start playing something. Maybe we should turn the truck on while we're at it. There we go. So that's the iPod. That's back to the radio. Cool. Okay. And that's the buzzer stopping. All right, let's put it back together and see what we got. Actually, that popped off. Hopefully I can just run this out here. question is going to be whether or not I can get the ashtray assembly back in there with that in place. Answer is, I just don't know. I mean, that seems to work. Hopefully, there is no reason why this won't let me do this. Sweet, I think it's going to be just fine. Oh, well, I guess you probably want to hear what the final result sounds like on camera. Hopefully this will do a pretty good job of picking up exactly what the subtle nuances are, but I will tell you this, it sounds tremendously better than what I had in it before. So there's that. Does it sound as good as my, you know, much newer GMC Denali? No, it does not. But for the time, sounds good, and I'm happy with it. So anyway, have a listen. So this is the switch that I installed. It ended up just going in the ashtray, and I've just ran it out to my media device. If I want to hide this, that like this never happened, I can just stick it in the ashtray, be done with it. So right now we are set to the iPod, but just changing that switch, now we're on radio. Of course, you can't hear a lot of that because that's, you know, that's not royalty-free music. But what I can do is I can go over to FM. Well, eject this.
So council, whether it is, you know, in Georgia.
So that's FM, and I can go to my little iPod here, unlock it, and hit play. Now this is playing currently. So when I swap back to this, now I know this was just the installation part of this, and there was a lot of repair that had to happen and getting the aux plug set up. And I know a bunch of people are going to ask again about how I did all that. And like I said earlier, that is on my second channel, which I'm going to link right up here. It's called Project Time Tech. I didn't put it on this channel because it wouldn't get enough views, and frankly, it would just hurt my channel. So I put it over there, and that's where I do more techie stuff. So there are going to be 2 videos over there. The first one, which is already out now, came out, I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday, involves adding the aux cord to the radio. All right. The second video, which will be out next week, will cover what all I went through to fix the speakers and bench test this stuff and get it all working on the bench prior to installing it. But that'll be next week. And if I remember, I will go out there and add a link up here somewhere to this video showing that video. So as usual, guys, I appreciate so much for watching this video, for hanging out with me if you made it all the way to the end here. As usual, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. And guys, I'll see you next time.